guys and girls. Welcome to episode 104 of the FReality Podcast. This is a weekly VR, AR, and MR talk show, live streamed every Saturday on YouTube, Facebook, and on Twitch. You can also catch the show live in VR and check it out in big screen TV. The show goes live at 7 p.m. in Europe, 6 p.m. in the UK, and 12 midday in central US. You can also check out the audio version, which is available on iTunes, SoundCloud, Anchor, and on Spotify. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback during the show, please put them in the chat. We'll try and answer as many questions as we can. Now, of course, it's time for me to introduce you to the team. First up, when this guy's away from home, he's remotely plugging into the Matrix to get his fix, whether he's in a hotel room or in a plane. He's in VR. It's VR streamer ZimTalk5. How you doing, man? You all right?
Yeah, great, Mike. Yeah, I really debated on whether or not I would bring, because the Quest isn't a small box. Like, the Go is easy to fit in a kind of a overhead luggage compartment, but the Quest you have to carry separately, really. So I did, and I was very, very happy to do that. I'll talk a little bit more about that. That'll be my highlight for the week. But I did. I traveled down to London for a couple of days, and I'm back now. Glad to be back with my family and in my cave of VR.
Yeah, it's good to have you back as well, because obviously you weren't on last week's show because you were celebrating your 10th wedding anniversary, am I right?
Yeah, 10th. I know sometimes, you do things and you don't think about the future. You get married, and then 10 years later, you have to celebrate these things. So it was great. We took my wife, kids, and dog out to like the seaside in West Scotland and saw all kinds of things. Alien life forms. We also saw a cave or two and a secret forest. So it was really a good trip.
You didn't bring any more crabs back this time?
No, but I should have taken one of those gigantic, like pizza-sized jellyfish, because that would have fed him for like a year.
Nice. It's true. Well, good to have you back on the show anyway, dude.
Thanks.
Next up, this guy's been rootin', tootin', and a shootin' robot cowboy this week as he dived deeper into a simulation of a simulation in Westworld. It's, of course, Nathie. How you doing, man?
VRception, as they call it.
Exactly.
Going deeper down the rabbit hole.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's you know what's so nice about VR, that it's the only place where you can die, well, as many times as you want, without any
It's wonderful,
risks.
right? You can experience it every time, again and again and again.
There's no danger. So in case of Westworld, you're fine. You're good.
Was it scary? Because you don't really like scary games.
No, it was very, very scary. It was just because this is like a famous show, so I had to do it. I just had to do it. But usually, no, horror games are not my my cup of tea anymore. And the funny part is, the cheaper VR titles get with their jump scares, the scarier they become. And when they start to bug out, when they're like, things that don't work that well, it's even worse.
Nice. Looking forward to hearing more about that. We should have a petition. Like, if we can get like 100 likes or something, then Nathie will play Resident Evil 7.
Is it just me, Mike, though? When you introduced Nathie this week, I was like, rootin' tootin'. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I've been out of the U.S. for almost 20 years now, but I think that's flatulation in the States as well. So just,
is it?
So
he's a flatulating cowboy robot?
Something like that.
That makes sense.
Makes it easier on the murderers to get him.
Sure. They can smell the fear. Yeah. Okay, so next up, this guy's always trying to diffuse the situation, especially in an intense game of Pavlov. Say howdy to Rowdy. It's the Rowdy guy. How you doing, man? You all right?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. It's again a hot day here in Belgium. I'm sure that Nathie is sweating his pants off. Make sure you wear brown pants, Nathie, if you played our Resident Evil. You got up to 100 likes. But no, I've been doing great. It's been a very busy week for me, mostly work-related stuff. But I still find some time here and there to play some virtual reality, and always have a great time, especially Pavlov.
Good to hear it. If you don't know who I am, my name is Mike, host of the show from Virtual Reality Oasis. We've got a packed show for you today, which include loads of free stuff, actually. We're going to be talking about free tracks added to Beat Saber, also how you can get the original Dirt Rally, which can be played in VR for free right now. We're also going to be talking about the VR Go Mini, a new VR accessory on Kickstarter. Zim's going to give you the lowdown on the latest releases to look forward to next week. We talk about the original Oculus Rift replacement parts running out of stock. So your time is running out if you own an original Rift. And then finally, we give our thoughts on the news this week that an Oculus founder was involved in a sexual assault at an industry event. So interesting topics this week, some spicy ones as well. But of course, let's find out what everyone's been playing this week. Their highlight of the week. Feel free to join us in the chat, by the way. We love to read out your recommendations. But let's kick it over to Zim first to see what he's been up to.
I have been an experimental lad this week. So as Mike alluded to in his usually lovely, detailed introduction, I found myself in a hotel in London, and I thought, you know what? Maybe, because I just had gotten into No Man's Sky, and there were kind of initially performance issues and all that. I'm like, I'm going to try to stretch this to the limit. Now my PC only runs like a 1080. It's not super insane or anything, but at normal times, like for the last couple of weeks, it's been having a little bit of trouble running the game. So I was like, why don't I see? I'll just push this to the limit. And I messaged out to Guy Godin, the guy behind VR Desktop, as well. I'm like, I'm going to go test this, and he's like, don't expect much. And I'm like, don't worry, I won't break it. Or, it won't be your fault. It'll be mine if I try this. So I did measure. I speed tested the hotel Wi-Fi before testing just to see. Obviously, London Wi-Fi is better than some. I was on a 100 up, 100 down signal, which was great. I was like, that's probably the best I've ever seen in a hotel. Yeah. So that was great. It was a 2.4 gig network, though. For some reason, like after the watershed, after 10 o'clock or whatever, it flipped to 2.4. So that's what I was playing on, which inherently, I'd say, even if you've got great end-to-end connectivity, you won't get as high fidelity. You won't get as, it doesn't feel like the same frame rate, I would say. That's the general feeling. But I still, I played first with my wife, and that was great to be able to remotely, be waving hands at each other, jumping into ships, flying around. It's a fair bit of artifacting, but still looks better than PSVR in terms of the overall experience. So I was like, this is actually playable, and I got super excited. And then the night after, I couldn't sleep with all the excitement of a particular new release coming. Might be of the musical variety. And if you know what I'm talking about, you've been listening to past episodes. Promised I wouldn't say anything this episode. And so I was up at 3 a.m. or whatever. And my buddy, who's an architect in Tokyo, he messaged me. He's like, yo, Brad, can you get on No Man's Sky? He's like, can I join you? And it's like, yeah. So we literally spent what felt like very much like, I'll call it a Fortnite hour, because there's a lot of kids who play Fortnite and they just do it to get together with their friends.
Yeah, of course.
And so it really felt for me like I was like, I just got to hang out with my buddy who I used to play LAN gamings in Cork and Ireland, Battlefield and stuff. We'd be hanging out overnight from midnight till 8 a.m. in Day of Defeat and Battlefield and stuff like that. And I got to just hang out, check out his ships, fly around the planet with them, collecting minerals and stuff. And I was like, shit, this is where gaming's meant to be. And I'm doing this sitting in bed 350 miles away from my house, right? Streaming with virtual desktop from my PC back in Scotland to London. Those are not close, by the way. Over a hotel Wi-Fi network and having a fucking brilliant time. And I was like, this is amazing. I'm never going to travel without the Quest ever again. And my next test is going to be California in September.
Yeah, that's an awesome story.
All of us can finally go on holidays with our family, and we don't have to worry about not being able to play VR anymore.
But I was just so impressed, and I was like, I did not expect it to succeed as well as it did. And then when I got that second night onto 5 gig, it was beautiful. I couldn't tell the difference. There was almost, I'd say it was maybe 40 millisecond lag or something. Mm-hmm. Almost none.
So I've got a question. Is there any pre-setup that you have to do, knowing full well that you're going to do this?
So the main thing that I would say is I think the default configuration, if I'm not mistaken, you might have changed it, is that the configuration software that you use when you have the mobile version of VR Desktop, when you install that on your PC, generally it'll run automatically when your PC is running. So the number one thing to do, unless you've got some really smart Google Home thingamajiggy, with you on your travel that links back to your home, make sure you turn your PC on and leave it on.
Right.
That's the main thing. I had a wife at home, so I could just be like, honey, turn the PC on, please.
Right.
And it's got to be logged in, because otherwise you're not going to get to that layer. So I had her turn it on.
It's funny how times have changed. It used to be, honey, get me a beer. And now it's honey, turn the PC on.
So I can remotely play No Man's Sky in a hotel.
But it was the most, I was so gleeful. And then Eric from our budding VR community as well had inspired me from a couple. I mean, I did Oculus Go on a boat and a plane before, kind of last year, the year before, and I was like, I just need to see what it is like parody on a plane back home, and so I did. It was totally comfortable. It was great. Honestly, as I said, I'm not gonna be traveling anymore without my Quest because it makes the real world and all the junk you have to put up with just go away.
Just one question, because the chat asked it as well. Yeah. Did you say that your hotel bandwidth was 100 up, 100 down?
Yeah, 100 down, 100 up.
Wow,
amazing. Yeah.
Which hotel was that? Like,
it's a European chain called Novotel. They're usually pretty good.
Oh yeah.
They're not a budget. They're not a premium. They're kind of in the middle, and that's why, as a corporate flyer, I usually stay at a Novotel. Yeah. There you go.
There's my Novotel for sponsoring us.
Thanks for sponsoring. I was impressed.
Geeks like us, like when we book a hotel, we first look at the Wi-Fi speed, and then we look at the room itself, right?
They never list it. They never say this is the
It's always a trap.
It's a trap.
Always,
But this you didn't have to pay for. It's free. No. It's included. Yeah. Like over here in Europe, that happens more often. In the States, it's like it's always bolt-on.
Yeah,
always.
This is my point. Like when I was staying in San Jose for the first Oculus Connect, which was OC4, I stayed at the Fairmont, and they were charging like $30-40 a day just to use their Wi-Fi, which wasn't even that good.
No, because then you get like a 10 meg connection or something, and you're sitting there like chewing away, or you pick up those like 4G MiFi devices, which are okay, but you chew through them so fast.
It's hard to find a good connection in the US in general, because I remember with E3, I wanted to upload my videos, and at this place we were staying, it wasn't fast enough, so we had to jump from like these LAN centers to see, and even LAN centers sometimes didn't even had great internet. I was like, you are all playing on this low connection. How is this possible? So
we all know that Europe have got the best internet, so that's why you're living the dream.
I'm sorry, we got something better this time.
Yeah.
So let's kick it over to Nathie then. Find out what you've been playing. What's your highlight of the week this week then, mate?
Yeah. So first of all, let's dive into the chat. We had Kansas City who played Dirt Rally and Contractors. What a combination, right? Then we have Jerry, who played Red Matter and Timestall on his brand new Oculus Quest. So congratulations, you are now one of us. Then we have Norman Robertson, who also played Dirt Rally in VR, and it was his new game choice this week. So I think he's giving awards out to a game every week. That's interesting. Nukeman has been playing Beat Saber, the new Beat Saber tracks, and Rec Room. Paradise DK played Cloudlands 2 on a real golf course. He upset the locals, and then he also went deeper into real fishing VR at a local fishing spot.
Wow.
Taking
it to another level there, PD.
Exactly. Imagine you sitting there fishing in real life, and then this other guy's like,
I can't wait for him to do like a submarine simulator or something.
Yeah, who knows?
Rowdy's down for the proof.
It's not a bad way to go though. Like, if you're off fishing, oftentimes you're sitting there with a rod, if it's in a stock or whatever, and you're just waiting with a beer, and you're like, what do I do now?
Do that at home. Just put your feet in some water.
That's it. That's all you need to do. Yeah. And then last but not least, we have Watto, who jumped into No Man's Sky again. He says that the performance is getting better.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
and definitely. He also watched a ton of movies on the Quest.
Nice.
Yes. So before I'm going to talk about Westworld, the VR experience, I quickly want to talk about Oculus Connect, just in short. So Oculus is their own YouTube channel, right? And they upload all kinds of videos there, trailers, tutorials, all kinds of stuff. So this week they uploaded a tutorial, a guide on how to make your own avatar. Because, if you have a Quest, you can make an avatar. You don't really use it anywhere, but it's there and it exists. So I watched the video, and then I was like, again, where the heck is Oculus Rooms? I just want to use these avatars, right? So I commented under the video, said like, hey, this is awesome and all, helping people out, but in the end, these avatars, they are not going anywhere. All the games you publish, they are not getting used at. Only PokerStars VR and maybe a few others, but it's rare. And again, where is Oculus Rooms? There is no multiplayer. And the Quest has been out for a while. And yesterday they responded. I was surprised by that. They said that they have something to announce soon. So hopefully, please, God, bring Oculus Rooms or something similar, something better, maybe Facebook Space. I don't know what they're going for. And just announce it at Oculus Connect. It's time to, bring people together. It's so awesome to be able to invite a friend over and play games together. Yesterday, I saw this
in virtual reality.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
I'm not saying I'm a huge fan of multiplayer, but if I play multiplayer, I prefer to play it in virtual reality, just because you get that physical interaction. You got this like hand movements, even like what they're doing with the eyes now, the hands. It's so like visceral and so real that it's so different compared to like playing multiplayer in a regular PC game.
Yes. So this one once again proves that if you have something to talk about, or you have something to complain about, or you want something, let them know. And then they might, talk about it, because this is the first time I'm like, oh, they finally. So yes, we'll see. OC 6 is the place to be in that case. So yeah. Anyways, I played Westworld Awakening. It had a funny launch, I feel like, because it was so, it just came out. It just like, here it is, and go play it. As I said at last week's show, Servios wasn't pulling the trigger on the launch here. It was HBO who just could do it at any time they wanted. So I feel like the VR community has totally missed this one out. Maybe it will live up when Westworld comes out and people start talking about it again. Who knows? Maybe that's the tactic here. Although, they got funded by HBO to make the game, so it's not like sales matter that much, I think. But I played it. It's scary, just like the show itself. David warned me. He said, like, I played it, and I stopped after a few levels. I'm like, well, don't tell me that this is, creepy, because then I don't. Like, the moment people say, like, yeah, it's really terrifying, blah, 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 it gets only worse, I just want to jump in and do it. So basically it's hard to talk about the game itself, because it starts off very. It
became so emotional, like you were like, oh, I can't handle this anymore, it's hard for me to talk about it.
Post-traumatic stress.
No, it's me. Also that's also playing here. No, it's like, it's basically, you have these deja vu moments all the time, because you play as a host, that's all I can say, and you relive scenes just like the hosts would do in the show. If you've never watched the show, I don't think this is that fun to play. I don't think you have an idea of what this is all about, and they are also not trying to take you by the hand if you never watched the show. So
did everyone watch it here actually? Has everyone seen Westworld?
Yeah.
So the original Westworld, I liked
the
a
old
lot.
school one.
The old school one, with Yul Brynner, was excellent. It was really good. It was a film. I've never seen the show, and actually, had I been on last week's podcast, this is what I would have been talking about, because I played Westworld for a couple of hours, and actually I purposefully went in not having seen the recent series. I didn't want it to pollute me. I thought they did a really good job, so I'd actually maybe just counter your statement to say that if you know nothing of Westworld, that it's no good for you. I still think that you get the gist of the game kind of by an hour in, and the way that it unfolds then is pretty good, and graphically, it's a pretty decent game, but it's heavy. It's heavy on your machine. Someone's asking it for on Quest, and no, that's not going to happen.
Nathie, if you've seen the series, right? You've seen the first season or the second season, whatever. And Nate, you and Zim, you haven't. No. What would you say it was the most like? Is it most like the series now, or is it more like? Did you still recognize a lot of stuff from the movie that you used to see?
I'm going to guess it's more like the series.
More like the series, yeah.
You could see it was like if they had just made the game off of that movie to bring it into modern times. That's the kind of blend it felt like. But it wasn't a reboot of the original film. It didn't follow like the original plot. No.
Like there were certain environments that I was like, oh yeah, this is from the the series, but it's like a side story, because the series does tell the story of like the hosts as well. But this one, of course, only is about the host that you play. Well, in Westworld in general, it's like all these characters together, and this one tells just that one specific story. But it looks good, it plays very well if you got a good machine. I agree. I don't think this is going to come to Quest. I know everyone wants to have everything on Quest, although sometimes we are surprised by, Red Matter, for example, works as well. So you never know, but it would be a toned down version. But yes, I would say that if you have not watched this show, you could play it, but it's dialogue heavy, and there are certain hints towards the show that are more enjoyable if you kind of know what's going on. But yes, you could play it, but it just starts in season 2. If this game started at season 1, you get a more full overview of what this all is all about.
Simply Chris is asking if this is only available on the Oculus Store.
No, it's also on Steam.
It's on Steam as well.
I played it on the Valve Index, and I was a bit scared because at the start, the tutorial showed me old school Vive controllers, and I recently jumped into Rec Room as well, and I can tell you, I played it with the Valve Index. I couldn't move. I couldn't do anything. It just didn't work. They didn't map it for, but Valve has this system now where the community can map for every game. Although it's kind of strange that it's just not super.
Well, they did that for the Steam controller, and it worked brilliantly for that. I have to say,
yeah.
But I was a little bit afraid that they would implement this kind of system as well for Steam. So.
But
it should be implemented natively by.
Exactly. This shows once again that Valve also has almost no partners. Even Survios is we don't have to make a tutorial for the Valve Index controllers.
Yeah.
It worked the same, but it just showed the picture of an old Vive controller, and that says enough about the priority developers also have.
True.
One thing I wanted to say about this game, though, Nathie made the point at the beginning that it was odd that it dropped just out of the blue, and I thought that was a bit odd because it's a quality title, and actually it's probably I think it's probably Survios' best all-rounder. As a kind of a VR package. They do a lot of things really well, including the level of detail of all the objects, items, news articles, photos, the linkages, and the way things appear without being too HUD heavy.
Especially as Survios is a studio renowned for its arcade games. Yeah. This is a very far departure from an arcade game.
But have you played this?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
How do you cut this down into an arcade 15 minutes? I don't see how you can. That must be a very different cut.
Yeah,
of this game.
It's you can see that they the engine they have and all the stuff they added to it. They can make so many great games at the moment with that. And you don't see that many studios that actually have an engine that just works because The Walking Dead Onslaught, it feels the same way the way you play this game. It's not as arcadey, but it just, the way the hands move, the way you grab stuff, it's the same deal. So it seems like they have a formula now. And this studio, they made 4 or 5 games this year already. And I always salute them for not making them suck. Although, Battlewake was a bit, and also Electronauts could have, been promoted better, could have, spent more time on. But overall, they never, are shit.
Yeah, that's good.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
That was one of the reasons actually why I haven't tried it yet, because I did think it was going to be an arcade experience again. So I'm actually quite thrilled to hear that it's not an arcade experience.
Not at all. Not at all.
Definitely story driven. I think you'll like this one, Rowdy. I just haven't had time to play it myself all the way through yet.
I think the one thing I would say to people is take your time, enjoy the environment, enjoy the bits. Take it at a Western pace. And I think it will sing for you a lot better.
It screams.
Open a couple of beers.
Yeah, it screams for that too. The environments they have so many Easter eggs, so many hidden secrets that you can explore. Yeah, I don't know. If you're a big fan of the show, this is awesome. Yeah.
Cool. What about you then, Rowdy? What have you been up to? Let me guess.
I'll cut it short. I've been playing Pavlov.
Wow.
I think it's almost the only game that I'm playing at the moment, since I find it brilliant. Even playing it by myself, if I don't find any people to play with or fun people to play with, I just play with bots, and I still have a lot of fun. They introduced some new weapons in there. You have this Mac 10, so I'm going Hitman style now with two revolvers or whatever. I have so much fun in that game, and all of the different game modes. There's something that
I got to ask you a question, Rowdy, because last week's podcast, you said spines and hands flying off. Is that really in the base game, Pavlov?
Yeah, they're gory now.
Yeah, they're very gory. Very
And then a
gore.
gore update, yeah.
But that's not a Halloween update. That's like like every game that you play, it's the same deal.
Can turn it off, but it's like the standard now.
That's just a weird, like that's such a weird design decision because they were very
Serious. In
Counter-Strike source, you know, of VR, and now they're going that way. I got to see it. What do you think about that, Rowdy? Do you leave it on? Is it something you like, or is it something you think detracts from the experience?
I don't think it detracts from the experience. It doesn't also add anything for me. I mean, it makes it more visceral. It makes it more like, you know, when you get a headshot and you see the head literally fly off, that gives like maybe like, oh man, that was cool. But at the same time, I'm like, it isn't really that necessary for me.
Bit gratuitous, yeah.
Like this week is a rare week. Like I actually got to play Pavlov myself. GT Gamertag, who was on the show on a previous episode, he invited me to play the Call of Duty Zombies like workshop, like community mod for it.
Sure.
That was actually a lot of fun. You know, like barricading your windows and getting enough money to buy.
Wait, which game mode did you play?
It was like Call of Duty Zombies.
Oh, okay, that one. That's one of the ones that I actually haven't tried yet.
It's called Knacked, but it is like essentially Call of Duty Zombies. But I thought it was pretty fun.
So in the chat, Simply Chris is exposing Rowdy. He says spoiler. So if you don't want to hear a spoiler about Rowdy, then well, this is your moment.
Okay.
He says Rowdy likes to hug people a lot in Pavlov VR.
Oh, I saw
It
that.
is his favorite thing.
Yeah, he was going like the Striking Vipers route.
I saw it.
Shut up, Mike. We're not going to talk about that.
So Rowdy is missing the social interaction, and then he sometimes wants to hug people in VR.
That was never meant to be recorded.
It's okay. When we're at Oculus Connect, we'll all give you a big hug, dude. You're welcome.
Imagine like Rowdy walking around at OC with like a little, like free hugs.
Yeah, hug me.
Hug me in VR, please.
I need to get a T-shirt like that. I love to get hugged in OC6. If anyone sees me in OC6, come give me a hug.
Free hugs.
Nice.
Yeah. So I didn't actually play that much this week. I played a bit of No Man's Sky. I played a bit of Dirt Rally 2. Played a bit of Beat Saber. But mainly I've been working behind the scenes on a VR 180 video for the channel because I got my Silver Play Button Award this week.
Congratulations, Mike.
See it in the background.
Yeah, nice.
Nice.
Super shiny for 100,000 subscribers.
Oh, you can see yourself in that play button too.
Yeah.
Oh, so you can stare at yourself.
Dim has one too. There. You can see him.
So that's super nice. So yeah, I've been doing a special video for that. So that's kind of been taking up most of my time. So kind of one of those rare weeks I don't play that much. But I just kind of wanted to share that my highlight of the week this week was actually the Joe Rogan podcast with John Carmack. I don't know if any of you guys caught this.
Yeah, I've listened. Actually, I had it on my to-do list. And then you commented about it, and I bumped it up the list, and I made sure I'd do it before the podcast. So.
Yeah, exactly. So for those of you that don't know, Joe Rogan, he does an excellent podcast called The Joe Rogan Experience. It's on YouTube. It's on iTunes as well. He basically interviews like loads of celebrities, famous people, people like Elon Musk, one of my other favorite episodes.
That was great.
Definitely go and check that out. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But this week, he finally was interviewing John Carmack. And apparently this has been in the works for a long, long time, but there was a lot of red tape apparently, which slowed things down, but they finally got that cleared and he was able to go on the show. John Carmack, of course, is the CTO of Oculus, creator of the classic Doom and Quake. And right now he's very much involved in the mobile VR aspect in Oculus. So he had a big hand to play in the Oculus Go and the Oculus Quest. Yep. And yeah, he was on the show, and it was great to get an insight of his mind a little bit, really. We didn't learn anything new in terms of stuff that they're working on right now. Obviously, they're going to save all those announcements for Oculus Connect. But something that I did pick up on that kind of got me thinking a little bit was that he was talking about augmented reality and that he was quite skeptical of the technology, particularly pointed the finger at Magic Leap, saying that they were kind of like overselling the dream and under-delivering.
Kind of.
Which I thought was great, which is solid, And then he also pointed out that Microsoft are going a different route with the HoloLens 2 and really sort of focusing on business rather than consumers, which he thinks is a smart way to go right now because the technology hasn't matured enough. And then he did start talking about the real life applications of AR and how they would look. And he was saying that basically we're just far too far away from the technology looking good for people to wear it. And this is what kind of got me thinking, because a while ago, Oculus teased that AR would be a presence at Oculus Connect 6, which they've never really mentioned in their...
Correct, they did, yeah.
they've never really mentioned that in their invite before. So we're thinking, oh, maybe they've got an AR headset in the works, and that was kind of my first thought. But now thinking about it, after what you said, I'm thinking that whatever they announce, at the end of the month at Oculus Connect will be AR features added to both the Oculus Quest and the Oculus Rift S using their pass-through mode.
Nice guess. Yeah, you're spot on the money, I'd say, Mike, with that, especially because you're backed up by Carmack's comments. But I don't know about you, but that podcast to me, I mean, I kind of go in with gritted teeth anytime I go to a Carmack presentation, because he can run on like a feckin' train that's gone loose. But I found him to be very, and I don't think it was Joe Rogan necessarily massaging him into place. He did a very good job of staying succinct, pausing when he should. Maybe at the end he went a little wild, but the rest of it was like, how many ways is John Carmack cool? I do recommend people spend the 2.5 hours because, Jesus, this guy, I'm not even going to spoil it, but he goes through all these punctuation marks of his life, and it's like, feckin' dude, you've done a lot.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a variety of subjects. Like you said, like games, rockets, Ferraris, jiu-jitsu. So if you're interested in learning more about him, then I'd urge you to check it out. But just be aware that you're probably not going to get any spoilers of what he's working on right now.
If you want to hear an honest man talk about tech, then that's your way to go.
Yeah, he's great. He's great. That's what my highlight of the week is this week. So let's jump into some news then. And the first bit of news this week is about Beat Saber. Because the team at Beat Games dropped a new update this week across all of the headsets. And this adds 6 free new tracks and some new features as well. Some of the new tracks include, I'll read out the names and the people that made them. Origins is the first track. It's actually made by Yaroslav Beck and Jan Islavsky, who are actually the developers of Beat Saber. Like they made this track in-house.
Can we give a quick shout out to Jan Split for being one of the masterminds behind the actual success of Beat Saber, because he's the one that is always staying in the studio, making the game better, updating it. Like I see the rest of the team, traveling a lot, but he's one that is always super dedicated to. Yeah. So there you go.
That's true.
I said it.
Old school mobile dev, really made some great mobile games as well, called Chameleon Run. So if you're interested, go and check that out. That was under the old developer name called Hyperbolic Magnetism, which I thought was an amazing studio name.
It's such a good studio name. I don't know. I kind of want him to go back to that.
Yeah, but when Yaroslav came on board and they consolidated it as a Beat Saber studio, they called it Beat Games.
Makes sense.
Origins is the first track. They made it in-house themselves. Next track is my personal favorite, called Reason for Living by Morgan Page. This is kind of like a track that's got some vocals over it. I tend to prefer the tracks with vocals because they tend to hook me a little bit more. I can sing along.
Can you sing a little bit of it?
You said you sing along, so give us an example.
He promised us before the podcast started.
Yeah. Come on, Mike.
You said this was the episode we were going to get the song.
If we get 100 likes.
If we get 100 likes, then I'll do Reason for Living, even though I don't really know the words that much. The next one is Give a Little Love by Pegboard Nerds. I know that Zim's a big fan of these guys.
So good.
You went to see them in PAX at Boston, right?
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. Free event, and they did an amazing show for an hour and a half. It was just solid pegboard, and I have so much respect for those guys. I did before, but seeing them live was feckin' A, they put on a good show. I would definitely pay. I'd pay $150 to see them live again. No problem.
Wow. Awesome. Next track is called Full Charge by Pixel. Then you've got Immortal by Slippy, and then the final one is Burning Sand by Boom Kitty. Some really cool tracks. I just think it's great that we're still getting this free DLC from them, even though they're releasing paid DLC as well. So it's kind of like paid DLC, free DLC, paid DLC. That's kind of where they're sort of going with this, which I think is great for the community because, they're always getting free content, even if they're not paying for it. But of course, the biggest things, the most exciting features that we want still haven't been included yet. They did include some custom colors, so you can change your sabers, you can change the blocks, you can change the environments, and you can change the lighting. But of course, the biggest features we want are the new 360 mode that Nathie got to try out, and also multiplayer, which they've teased for such a long time now.
That's so needed. But I mean, they got to just wait, do it right, and when it comes out, it'll be a phenomenon.
Yeah, exactly. But like I said, it's completely free and available on all platforms now. So go check it out. Some awesome new tracks.
I like. Also, what is free is the Beat Saber demo itself. So if you have a Quest, you can also try Beat Saber if you haven't done it already.
That's a really good point. Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. And searching for these demos can be tricky because there's about 5 or 6 of them on there. But if you just search demo on the store, you'll be able to find them much easier. Yeah,
like so if you search for Beat Saber, you can't find it?
Yeah, you can, but I'm just saying all the other demos as well.
Then you also get all the demos. Yeah, no, I see.
Oh, okay. And if anyone doesn't know what Beat Saber is, essentially, if you imagine some colored laser printers coming at you, and you've got 2 very large chopsticks, you just got to take those things down.
There you go. There you go.
Wow.
So next up is another Kickstarter campaign, another VR one. This time it's called VR Go Mini. Now, you may recall the name VR Go because they've made a previous device prior to this one. It basically looked like a giant egg.
Yeah, let me grab it.
Oh, okay. Nathie's going to get one.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, you sit on this egg like you're a mother hen, and you can basically lean in different directions because it's got like a rounded base. You can lean in different directions, and then that's replicated in-game. So you can use this as a locomotion method. There you go. So Nathie's going to demonstrate his egg. He's going to sit on it like he's a little mother hen. So basically, that was the original product. And you could use it with like the Oculus Go. You could use it with the PC VR headsets. And also you could store the headset inside it as well. So it was a place you could store stuff. But the developers behind this, the main designer is called Joe Ryan. He's actually shrunk down the design to like a disc-shaped device that you put on top of your gaming chair. So instead of this egg, you've just got basically like a little base that you put on your own chair, like a stool or a gaming chair. And again, it has that kind of feature where you can sit on it and lean it in a direction. And again, that'll be represented in the virtual world, leaving your hands free. So that's kind of an interesting thing. A new feature of the VR Go Mini is that it's also got built-in haptics. So it's got 2 motors built into it. So if you want some haptics, it can add that through the sound of the game, a bit like the way that B-Haptics does, where it converts sound to haptics.
It's like a butt rumbler. I've been waiting for this moment.
A butt rumbler, exactly. So
wait, stop. The best comment from the day comes from the chat right now. It's Flipboy side. It says, it looks like Nathie is giving birth to a portal turret.
Exactly.
Oh my days.
So yeah, that's basically what it is. They've refined it. They've shrunk it down to a form factor that can just sit on top of your chair. It's on Kickstarter right now. But before we get into any more of the details, let's ask Nathie, like how regularly do you use this thing, and what do you think of it?
I did try the locomotion, software, and it works. It's great. I actually play Battlefield with it.
Okay.
And I also.
So wait, like, non-VR game then?
No, non-VR. I didn't play a VR game with it.
You literally used it for Battlefield. What Battlefield?
I tried, and I was driving a car with this thing. It's like so funny, and I'm like flying a plane is super weird. But what I mainly used it for, if I played like a cinematic experience, it's nice to sit on because you can slowly turn around. It's really nice to just play seated VR with.
Yeah, so you used it like for 360 stuff, but not really for the features for locomotion.
No, not really. But it is handy. As I said before in last show, if people, can't walk, like this is...
Yeah.
Hang on, a quick question on that. Does the device have any... I remember seeing it in person, I think. Does it have some like storage or something? Like you can pop the lid open?
Yeah, so you got some foam in there to store your headset and bits and pieces inside.
So the egg comes. So for our audio listeners, Nathie's showing us that there's a headset divot that looks right for like a Gear VR, maybe a Go.
It's kind of like a VR Kinder Surprise,
Exactly. That's a really good way of describing it.
I'm just wondering how long it will take for it to hatch.
Yeah, squeeze harder, Nathie. But yeah, this new one, the VR Go Mini, it's compatible with all VR headsets in the market right now. Although with the PSVR, just like last week with the Catwalk Loco, you need an adapter for it. But overall, I think I'm again like last week's Catwalk Loco. I'm getting more and more skeptical about these things.
It's just like the thing. I mean, it might be handy or it might be comfortable. Or it has like probably applications for people indeed with disability, but again, it's not real locomotion. It's nowhere near real locomotion. Real locomotion doesn't work that way. It has, and I would advise them to like look at maybe in a different direction instead of like advertising this as like the solution to locomotion, or like I'm not saying that they're doing that right now, but I hope that they don't like portray this as like the solution to locomotion in virtual reality.
Well, that's what they're saying. They're saying that using a device like this would solve motion sickness. That's kind of one of their main selling points.
I wonder
it solves motion sickness by not doing locomotion.
Well, I would actually, hook back to what John Carmack said on the podcast with Joe Rogan, where he said he was talking about treadmills, that it breaks the immersion a little bit because you have, but I still think this is like nice to have for some that can't physically walk. But it's a niche. Like, it's very niche.
Portray it as like a different kind of device, because I don't think that the audience that is looking for a locomotion solution. I mean, yeah, you can solve motion sickness by it, but you're not doing locomotion anymore. But
also, I would say that the product is almost like a few years too late, in my opinion, because it seems like the industry has shifted now. Whereas, when the Oculus CV1 first released, it was all about seated experiences. It was all about seated. But now, over the years, it's all about moving in your physical play space. Now, look at the Quest. That's what it's all about.
It's absolutely that case, because like I've even basically stowed away or cannibalized my butt kicker, because I don't really do seated VR almost ever unless there's a specific cockpit game requiring a HOTAS or something, or driving. Those are the only two real applications. Like you said, Mike, the software has gone the way of standing, and most games are best played standing. The one thing I wanted to say about this was, looking at it, they're showing it, unlike the original Egg, which sits on a hard surface, and then you're connected against something solid. This thing is being represented and shown as sitting on a cushion. And so, like, won't there be this funky, cushy interlayer, which then when you get used to learning the controller, maybe you'll learn that because you're learning your seat or whatever. But I would be thinking, if you're not on a kind of a more solid surface, you will lose the ability to kind of easily learn the physical movement that translates into your digital movement. So it doesn't look like a great solution, although I love the reduced form factor, because I would have never touched the original one. And this one I would at least consider, because you can stow it away. And there's no way I'm putting an Egg in my house that size.
The main reason why I just don't really like these kind of, well, it's not that I don't like them, that's the wrong choice of words. The reason why I'm not a big fan of these kind of products is because, like, how do you duck?
Yeah.
How do you duck?
You
Duck,
probably need
goose.
to press a button, right? And for me, that is too immersion breaking. Like, when I wanna pick something up from the ground, I wanna physically duck down and go and pick it up. With these kind of devices, often I don't know how to do it, but you probably have to press a button. And I'm just not really for that, unless it's of course a seated VR experience in general. But even things like No Man's Sky, I usually play them standing.
So that is the one exception. I play No Man's Sky seated. But I think this is where my caveat comes. Like, this is a product that I think might be good for that one game. But like the Cyber shoes that I only thought was good in Doom VFR, I wouldn't use it for anything else. So that's the rub with this, I think.
Also, 3D rudder. Like, there's so many of these products everywhere.
There's another thing though to think about, because like, if we're all relatively slim-built dudes. If you're a really hefty dude or lady, right? I wonder how much weight this can take without breaking the device that you're sitting on. Because the Egg, obviously it's designed as a chair and can probably take 350 pounds. But I wonder that little flattened disc that they're selling, because in the end of the day, you're not going to buy it if you're going to crush it in the end, and that's a consideration if you're a heavier set person.
Yeah, I'd love to know what people think in the chat, by the way, but I'll just go over the Kickstarter sort of campaign and how it's done so far. So far, it's raised 17,000 British pounds, because it's a British company, by the way, and its goal is 20,000, so it's only 3,000 pounds away from its goal. It's got 26 days left to go. It starts at 119 pounds for the VR Go Mini without the haptics included. If you want the haptics, then the model costs 149 pounds. They'll be shipping worldwide and shipping out by the end of March next year, apparently.
All I want to say is don't hate on my Egg, okay?
Yeah, well, the people in the chat are saying, Stacey Ray is saying, Nathie, come on, push.
Chris says, Sorry?
Simply Chris says that I'm waiting for Nathie to say "my precious" while holding that egg.
Yeah. No, this is my portal egg now. I'm actually gonna call it the portal egg. I like it. It's a cool name. I should put like an Aperture logo on it. I think it would totally finish it.
Yeah.
Also, we're halfway to 100 likes, Mike.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Yes, keep it going. We need to hear Mike in the song.
So, like, although I think it's great that there's more companies out there developing these little accessories and niche products, for me, they did actually reach out to me and asked if I wanted to try it out, but I just said I wasn't that interested in this one. But I am more interested in the Catwalk Loco, which we talked about last week. But I just thought it would be worth mentioning because it's a little bit different, a little bit unique, spark some conversation.
Very, yeah.
So let's move on to something that is, I think, very cool, very interesting. And this is a No Man's Sky flight stick mod made by the community. So freaking cool.
No.
I saw this on the Oculus subreddit this week because a lot of people like me and you guys still really enjoying No Man's Sky. I think we're just going to continue playing this game forever. I don't think it's ever going to end. And it's no surprise because the game is awesome, and the updates coming out of Hello Games to continually support this the game is insane. Like every time I fire up Steam, there is an update for No Man's Sky. It's nuts. But one of the things that the community have really been asking for is HOTAS support, especially in VR, because they want to add to the immersion. They've probably already got a flight stick HOTAS set up for like Elite or whatever else they play, and it's great for when you're flying your ship, right? But of course, in No Man's Sky, you're not in the ship all the time. You're like exploring planets and doing little quests and harvesting and mining and building things. So it doesn't really make sense to have HOTAS support in the game. However, a really clever fellow, you're going to love this name, by the way, by the name of Cookie Muncher UK.
Oh my God.
On the Oculus subreddit, he posted a picture of a mod that he made. We actually 3D printed it to solve the problem. So for you audio listeners that can't see the images that we're showing or the website or whatever, I'll describe it for you because it's basically a 3D printed mount which you strap to your chair arm. So you strap it with Velcro and it's stuck there. And then on top of that mount is a magnetic ball, like a magnetic ball joint. And then you've got a cup that slips over your controller, a bit like the Pro Tube cups. And then you can magnet that onto the ball joint. So then you've got a static joystick that you can manipulate and move around whilst it's stuck to your chair, which is really cool. But then when you need to, you can just pop it off and use it like a traditional controller.
The only thing that I'm a bit worried about with this design is like, because I see that like the Velcro straps go around the thing. I think if you like push forward at a certain point, they will like slide off, or if you keep on pushing forward. But I would have used like a crank or something like something that you could like crank it on.
Drill straight through your view.
not drill, but something
like a clamp, like a clamp. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Here.
Yeah.
Like something like this.
Oh yeah, okay.
It's an integral part of Rowdy's PC. It's not going to work.
No show next week, boys.
I know what you mean, like a clamp.
There we go.
So he's showing us a C-clamp. It's an adjustable spinning C-clamp. Well, what does that come from? Is that a mount for a camera or something?
No, that's for a headphone, actually. Like
is that? Oh, where did you get that? I need one of those. Multiple of those. Okay, anyway.
All you need is flex tape. It's so simple.
Flex tape.
But are there is this guy who like 3D printed this stuff also planning to do other controllers, like maybe the Vive ones or maybe I don't know what controllers?
Possibly, because he's got an Etsy shop where he sells 3D printed parts. So he also he sold a 3D printed adapter for the Quest, so you could use the Vive.
Yeah. So you can request stuff as well at his place.
Possibly.
An Etsy shop? So this guy already sells to lonely single ladies?
Exactly.
I mean, this thing could totally be modified. Anyway, I'm gonna go there. But.
So he does have an Etsy shop. I've linked it in the description down below, by the way, if you want to check it out. Because he's only selling these for £21.99, which I thought was actually a pretty good price. And the thing is, like, because of all the interest from the subreddit, he's like rapidly getting this backlog. So now he's already got a 2-week backlog if you want to buy one.
It's also Onikaze says that it's also in Thingiverse.
Yeah, so if you want to 3D print it yourself and make it yourself, you certainly can. But one of the things that I think is a limiting factor of this design is that it doesn't spring back in any way. So a traditional joystick would center itself, if you know what I mean, like a HOTAS would. So that's the only limitation, I guess. But I do know, here's a little scoop for you, that the team at ProTube are working on their own solution to this, utilizing the cups that they already used for the ProTube Rail system.
Those are amazing cups. Those are the best cups ever.
So if you've already got ProTube mounts for the Valve Index or the Vive or your Oculus Quest or Go, not Go, or Rift, original Rift, then
I imagine having a Go one.
It's going to be compatible.
You could though. There's that end space in games like that are there on the go. I mean,
No Man's Sky VR on the go confirmed.
Although I guess you would need to take the Velcro and like strap it around your thigh, and then someone walks in on you and you're doing this thing with this thing strapped to your thigh. Oh man, what a scene!
If we can go that deep, can we then also have one for the Oculus remote that came with the CV1?
Yeah, this one. I got it.
Yeah, that one.
Or for the Xbox controller.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh wow! Oh god.
So there you go. So yeah, some cool little mod made by the community, but there is an official one being worked on by ProTube if you want to wait a little bit longer. But I really like the idea of this. I really want to try one out because I'm getting into No Man's Sky. So yeah, I thought it was an interesting one to share with you guys.
Nice
find.
Yeah. Next up is if you're like me and you sold your kidney or a kidney to afford a new Valve Index and you're a bit disappointed with the lack of content right now because these shiny new controllers, there's no real games out there that take advantage of them, which is a real shame. There is something that came out this week that will
You're going to enlighten us now.
Yeah, for a little bit longer. Don't get too excited. Just keep you busy for a little bit longer. And that's because the lab has been updated to add full index controller support to the lab and has now got hand interactions. So this update is called the hands-on update. And like I say, it adds individual finger tracking support when using the index controllers. And they're using the same hands that they used in the Aperture Hand Labs experience from Cloudhead games. So they're now in the lab. The physics, the interactions, they've all been completely overhauled apparently to use these new hands now. Because of course, before you were kind of telekinesis grabbing stuff.
Yes.
Now you can actually physically pick items up, manipulate them, put them together, throw them around. That kind of thing.
It makes me so nervous, though. I mean, I wish this news was something that made me think positively. It makes me think negatively if Valve themselves have taken this long to add support to a game that was really a demo. If it's that difficult to do, how many devs are going to do the heavy lifting for the Index controllers? I mean, I know there's a lot of people who have the Index. The Index is a great headset. A lot of people like the Index controllers. I'm not one of them, but I get nervous about. It's the same thing that took down. The streaming guys. Anytime you've got this kind of API layer that you have to customize to be able to get the physical thing to work or the software bit element to work, that middle layer piece is such a problem. So this news makes me nervous more than happy.
The thing is as well, it wasn't even Valve that implemented this. It was Zubalu.
Actually, it was Zulubo and Zeit. Zulubo and Zeit that made it, and the hands were designed by S. Bonkum.
Yeah. So it was the team behind Vertigo that basically
they are the only heroes out there.
Yeah,
keep
the
heroes. Light, burning.
I'm telling you, if that Vertigo team doesn't end up, as Valve staff, then Valve's doing something wrong.
They're very close, so I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, so now you've got updated physics. They've also updated the directional audio, so it can take advantage of the amazing audio of the Index, because that is a standout feature.
Okay.
Also, the experience can run at higher refresh rates and higher resolutions to take advantage of the Index again. And the lab is completely free after all. It's on Steam. If you haven't tried it already, I'd highly recommend it. It's just fun to play around with. It does work with any headset, including this new update does work with any headset. So it doesn't matter what you've got. You can have a great time trying this out.
Okay, you saved that one for me, Mike, because when you mentioned the audio, it's like you saved the bits at the last just to turn me around. So anyway, I'm glad that someone's done it. I don't know if that was a kind of like franchisee type thing where they're like, can you guys help us with this? Or if it was a passion project where they're like, can we help you with this? And they say yes. It doesn't matter which way it went, but I'm glad they've done it.
I'm sure Gabe and Money helped. It's not like he's short a quid or two.
True.
But yeah, I just like, please, can we get some information about these Valve Index games?
Can we also get some information about the controllers?
Yes.
As well, please. Because I bought broken controllers.
Yes.
I'm sad.
I said that we wouldn't get triggered about Valve though, but I just wanted to say one more thing.
Oh yeah.
Oh god.
Because
the current rumor right now
Oh no,
rumor
please.
after all.
Oh no.
Oh, here we go.
Not this.
Left 4 Dead. Is it Left 4 Dead in the
It can't be
end?
true.
I knew
It can't be true.
The Valve are gonna drop the announcement during
Half-Life 3.
No, they're going to drop the announcement about one of their games at least during Oculus
Yeah,
Connect.
sure. Oh, they are big trolls.
During
I mean,
Oculus Connect.
Yeah, what's the source of this rumor then?
It's just, me.
is Cookie Munchie 68 who posted this?
They are good trolls though. Like, remember, we were all at
They
PAX
are.
and then they dropped the Index news. And also when the Rift S news came out about the, not having a manual IPD adjustment, Valve came out with this picture like, oh, look what we've got, manual IPD adjustment.
Honestly, it would be perfect timing if they did it because, then everyone's walking around the floor at Oculus doing the thing they don't want you doing, talking about the competitors' games.
Yep.
So they should do it. That's smart.
Even on the live stream when Mark Zuckerberg told us when the Quest and Rift S were going to launch, Valve was also pulling some tricks.
That's right. They were trolling them at F8 as well.
I mean, I like the trolly, cheeky internet thing, but in the world of real business, it's actually a bit disrespectful to do that, I think. They could just, launch it the day before, launch it the day after. The day of is pretty cheeky,
Don't be so boring, Zim. Come on.
The gamers don't
Fine if
care.
they
They just
do.
want to play the best thing ever.
Yeah. Gaben's got no chill.
No chill.
Gaben's got no chill. Gaben doesn't care.
Okay.
So yeah,
I would find it hilarious if all of a sudden, like, Gaben would have bought like a ticket to OC6 as well.
I'd love to see him shuffling around the floor. That'd be great.
I'd love to shake his hand.
I think you would pass out if you touch his hand.
Yeah.
Because there's a certain energy in this man that no one has ever felt before.
Yeah, true. So that is the lab. Go and check it out for free on Steam, updated now with some new cool features. Final bit of news this week, because last week Nathie had to deliver the sad news that the upcoming VR stealth game, Espire 1, had been delayed and wasn't going to hit its August release window.
Yeah.
But we had an update this week from the team at Digital Load, giving us a release date of the 24th of September. So that's pretty cool. They did a little video. I think it was great that they did a video. They apologized way too much though in that video. Like I didn't feel like they needed to apologize that much.
It's a month, lads. It's just a month. It's fine.
The community understands, and definitely this is one that's worth waiting for. That it's fully cooked and freshly baked out of the oven when it comes out.
Plus, you get Killing Floor for free.
Yes.
If you pre-order Espire 1.
Yes.
Floor's not bad. That's a good multiplayer game anyway. So.
It's a great game. Like me and Nathie had a lot of fun playing that game.
No, but like Espire 1 is single player, right?
Yes, it is. But the Killing Floor Incursion is a co-op game.
Yeah, no, that's why I was asking, because sometimes they intentionally couple games together that kind of makes sense. You buy one as you wait for the other one, then your mate jumps in.
Yeah. Obviously, it's because they've got this, Tripwire are publishing Espire 1. Yeah,
so
exactly.
The only thing is, of course, it is coming to Steam, it's coming to PSVR and Oculus Home and the Quest. I do still get the feeling, though, that the Quest version is going to be delayed even further. So I would say if you're holding out for Quest, don't have everything fingers crossed, toes crossed, everything crossed, because I don't know. I've just got this feeling that that's going to be delayed even further.
It's probably going to be a Christmas release, That's that kind of thing. It's like, because they made an earlier statement to say that it'll be out in 2019.
Well, hopefully they don't pull a golem in this case.
Yeah, I think it's likely that Steam, PSVR, and Oculus will get it. But I just don't know about the Quest, because we know how hard that is. Having spoken to other developers, porting a game to Quest is such a monumental feat that they might struggle.
We don't know in what phase of development they started developing on the Quest, because we're assuming that it is a port coming from maybe they started from the bottom up for the Quest as well.
Yeah, I don't think they did, but fingers crossed. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I really do hope they hit it across the board. But either way, it's coming out on the 24th of September, so put that in your diaries. We're all going to be at Oculus Connect.
Exactly, we can't play it.
We can't even play it, so enjoy it.
It might be on the floor, though. It might be on the floor.
We'll probably play it on the floor. That's true. So that is all the news this week. Let's pass it over to Zim to find out about the releases.
Which is what we call anti-news. This is the opposite of news. This is this is the worst it gets. Right. So the first one, I got 4 for you this week, and a few sweeteners at the end. So first title is the New York Times. I was really surprised to see the New York Times as a developer on a title. This is the New York Times. It's got the most colons I think I've ever seen. The New York Times, Apollo 11, as they shot it, coming for Rift. Rift S and Rift, and I didn't see any indication that it was on Steam. If it is, I apologize, but very odd kind of game design behind this one. So this launched on the 29th of August. Actually, a lot of things launched last week, and I've cut a few out, but I'll give them an honorable mention as we pass them by, including a couple that are coming out in the future in the next couple of days. So what you do in this is it's unlike kind of the other Apollo 11 game that we've seen from who is it, VR Education. Where it's a little VR Education's Apollo 11 is almost a tearjerker, and if you're a bit of a historian and you like that kind of stuff, learning about how things actually went down with the old astronauts and their mission, then that's a good title to check out. This, as far as I can tell, is a free title, and 50 years ago when Neil Armstrong, can't believe it's been 50 feckin' years, became the first human to walk on the moon. You follow in their footsteps and you take photographs with NASA's Clunko Cam, not an official name by the way, at the classic scenes to recreate the original mission. So you've got this kind of big, fat camera, and you're taking pictures of things like, steps in the dust of the moon and pictures of the lunar lander, whatever. So to me, this is a bit like it's a bit like Pokemon Snap, in terms of game design. That's why it kind of stood out to me. I thought it was worth highlighting. I don't know if it's going to be any good.
Means they're like aliens then?
Well, you got to catch them all. You got to catch those.
I mean, what do you catch then?
You got to catch the Buzz Armstrong Sauruses.
Okay.
That's it. No, I think you're just catching photos, basically. It's kind of like a lineup photo type game, as far as I can tell. There's no trailer for this, so it's just photos, and it just seems to be in the Oculus environment at the moment. So I'm keen to try it and draw comparisons to VR Education. But it looks like kind of a short app and something that we
looks
can
like some kind of educational experience to me.
Yeah. I don't know. But the New York Times actually dipping in and pulling off a VR project. I don't know if that's they see, the way I think this went down is they looked over at BBC and said, shit, they've got like a 3-year catalog of VR stuff. We've got to catch up, lads. Let's make something quick. What's the easiest thing we can do? Let's do one where you're taking pictures.
Shout out to BBC for making Oogie the Beetle best experience I've ever played.
That's awesome. I love Oogie.
Did you play that?
Yeah, I played it. My daughter loved it. So.
It's like a beetle, and you are the beetle, and you go on this story, and you learn about wildlife. I think that seriously, it's the best thing they made.
I remember visiting you like in the Netherlands, and you were like, "You got to see this game, dude!" And I was like getting really hyped, and it was this beetle game. Oh my days!
I just imagine Mike going, and he's like, "Where's Ringo?" Where's Ringo? No Ringo. It's just this other beetle. Anyway, that was the first game. Second game. This one, doing my utmost, Rowdy, to not mention a certain thing. This game appeared on my radar, and it's for Oculus Go. And you're like, why are you doing an Oculus Go game? Well, they've got to get some love, too. So this is called Golden Loft. And this is a very interesting game. Another freebie, as far as I can tell. It's by Matter VR. Dropped again on the 29th of August. This is already out. You can grab it if you're on Go. And you explore your grandfather's attic and uncover his fascination with what's called the golden ratio. This one's all for Rowdy. So through this journey, you will learn about the golden ratio and phi, dive into the history of the Fibonacci numbers and how they got their name, alongside where those numbers appear throughout the world. But most interestingly, you'll discover how all these elements are intertwined and have a fascinating relationship with one another. So you touch on a whole bunch of different things. There's playful elements, kind of puzzling in here. It's almost like a room escape, but not a room escape so much, but those are the kinds of elements you could see pictured in this game and featured in the description. But, the golden ratio, phi, and that feature in Golden Loft. And so you've got this crazy old grandfather who I think has since passed away. You discover his attic and you go through his things and you get to learn a little bit about science. So to our resident scientist, I wonder, does this wet your noodle?
It kind of does. I mean, I'm familiar with the golden ratio and the Fibonacci sequences, but I'm not familiar with like how solid that goes throughout like everything. Because the thing with those numbers always is like, and that's the thing that I'm a little bit wary of, is like, how much of it is it because you look for it, and how much is it because it's really like that? Of course, the golden ratio in itself is something that is definitely there, because I remember the example of the Nautilus shells, where like the distance is actually also a Fibonacci sequence. So that's I mean, you see that returning a lot in everything,
nature, everything in the universe.
Yeah, especially in astronomy. But I mean, I do wonder. I mean, nobody knows, of course, what, because it's a very weird sequence. It's a very weird number as well, the golden ratio. Yeah. So, it is interesting, but I'm not versed enough in that kind of topic in order to really give an opinion on that.
Oh, that's great. What about the other gentlemen? Is that the kind of game you dip into?
I literally have no idea what you.
I also.
I knew it.
No. I do kind of understand it a little bit, but it's way beyond me, I think.
Have you seen like or read the Da Vinci Code?
No.
Because it returns a lot on that as well.
Is that all about the Illuminati?
The Illuminati? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Dastardly Illuminati. All right. Well, now as we're going across platforms. Go on.
I just looked it up what the golden ratio actually the number is, and the number is 1.618033988875. And for some reason, that golden ratio is in a lot of.
Yeah, don't tell me you don't learn anything from this show.
That's the password of Mike's satellite Wi-Fi router thing.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
But it's really weird when they find that kind of stuff in the pyramids, and then they're like, how did they do this? And we can't do that in modern buildings. It's all tied together anyway. So we'll move on to the next one. This one's for our PlayStation fans. So for PSVR, there's another one coming out. Still Tool inspired. And this is Human Anatomy. So there's been a number of different titles like this. Actually, the lab includes a Human Anatomy type element as well, and one of its modes that Mike mentioned just got a revamp. What can I say about it? If you don't know much about the human body and how we all fit together, this is not a bad way to go. You can actually test yourself on what goes where, which I think would be quite a fun and daunting task. Maybe I should try that sometime live on stream. I set that challenge to anyone else who maybe doesn't know that much. How much do you remember of your high school, biology lessons? So this is pretty nifty. They've got a kind of a slicer, kind of like an MRI that you can pass through. You hold it like a table and pass it through the body to see a cross section. So I think, if you're interested in the body, you see a lot of things coming to PlayStation. Now you can take apart a human. That's pretty cool.
So talking about PlayStation VR, I heard that Audica is also coming to the platform.
Ooh, I haven't heard that yet. That's pretty cool. Do you know any kind of timeline?
Nope.
Nope.
Okay.
Well, that was heavy news.
Best news ever, right?
Yeah. So the last of my highlights. A lot of you were kind of remiss that this was only a PCVR title for the longest time. So on the 6th of September, comes launching, flying into your living rooms, offices, PCVR, Falcon Age. So most of us I think all of us had a chance to try this one out. Goats, birds, robots. What else? If you wanted a kind of a pet and a game that you can chill with for kind of 5 or 6 hours, along with some kind of basic level crafting, not a bad game. That's coming to PCVR. So
how is that called?
Falcon Age. Have you played it?
I haven't tried that one. Yeah.
Oh, you haven't? Oh, have you been saving your cherry?
Yeah. But also, it's exclusive to the Epic Game Store.
Ooh, someone's dropping the bomb. Ooh,
that's a good.
What do you think of? No, we're not going to start that again.
All right. So a couple of other honorable mentions, and then we're out of here. 27th of August, Cloudlands 2 dropped on Quest. Anyone try that?
Not yet.
No, not yet.
Oh, okay, that's golfing. 29th of August, Art Plunge, which looked really interesting. There's been a few of these where you can go into a painting. It's quite short. Again, anyone try that?
It was on the go, actually, Art Plunge.
Okay. Good.
Previously. Yeah.
There was a previous title that was a lot like it. I can't remember the name of it, though. It's from about 2016, 2015. 5th of September, coming up. Skyworld, Kingdom Brawl. another one coming on
Again?
Quest.
Again?
You're into strategy.
Wait, what?
And
Oh, never mind. Yeah.
Mike gives a nice sneer. That was a good sneer, Mike.
It's like,
You weren't too much a
Mike is
fan.
like, are they going to seriously try to boot this game again and try to sell it? I don't know.
Like I love Vertigo games, but this game is like a dud in my eyes. You know, like I really don't like it.
But now we had this debate on a previous podcast. Then I went to Vertigo along with Rowdy, and we actually got to play it. I don't know if Rowdy did. So I played it, and again, it's probably not my kind of thing. But Skyworld, the original game, which was more of a march across the terrain, and this is more of like a card battler, are actually independent IP. They're different software. You know, they're not the same game. And we had a debate before that they were like the same thing, and I was getting it all wrong. But I wasn't wrong, and so it doesn't matter. It's coming out on Quest, and you're gonna like it. No, honestly, I played it on Quest, and it's not something I can see myself picking up. You know, I think if you're into the strategy board game sphere and you like stuff that's a little bit less intense, then it'd be for you. I'd like something a little bit more gritty. Two more little quick bits of news before we go back to Mike. So, Dirt Rally for the next day. So I hope you're listening to this fast. Completing by September 1st, you can get on Humble Bundle Dirt Rally for free. I tested this, and the fish hook here is, so you get it for free. It's not without needing to do something. You need to say, send me the Humble Bundle newsletter. And so it's a typical...
And then you simply unsubscribe afterwards.
And you can do that, but there's a lot of people who won't, and then those people will, in a month's time, get a game, and they'll be like, "Oh," and they get fish hooked, and they'll play. So it's a good go for Humble Bundle to get some more advertising. But the thing that I noticed is once you get the email, so once you've signed up for the newsletter, you get the email. Again, this is over by September 1st, so that door is closing very fast. If you're in chat, go do it now if you want free Dirt Rally. Great VR racing game, absolutely worth doing. I did it just so I could get another copy on a different, Steam account. Always important when you've got family is like you need 4 copies of many games. But the key that you redeem expires by the 5th of September. So they only give you 4 or 5 days in which to actually get that key into Steam and redeem it. So they're being a little cheeky there because there's a lot of people who won't think to go and do that.
Well, have you ever heard of like resellers?
Yeah, exactly.
That's why they do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So key websites don't start like making profit on a game that was free.
That's really smart. Okay. Yeah, good. And then the final bit is that we did hear about our Borderlands game coming to PC in fall. So if you're like me and you were waiting patiently to play that cel-shaded masterpiece, it's now coming to PC. You don't have to play it on PSVR anymore.
Okay.
Forget the 180 limitations and the tracking issues you would have had. I'm actually really looking forward to that one. But I have to say, they said fall, and whether that's until the fall or after the fall, it's yet to be clarified. But officials are reporting that apparently fall is in the proximity of UFall and the fall. It's quite likely. So.
Wow.
After the fall and until you fall, I always get confused with those two freaking games releasing.
I still can't like get them apart.
For me, that's like Leap Motion and Magic Leap.
Yeah, exactly. The only one thing about Borderlands 2 that I will say coming to PC is that we still don't think that it's going to have co-op support.
Which people won't be happy about.
Yeah, they didn't include that in the trailer, which would have been a major feature of the PC version, so I don't think it's going to happen.
At least you can play Borderlands 3 co-op.
True.
That's not in VR. Yeah.
Anyway, that's it for this week. So quick recap. New York Times Apollo 11, Golden Loft, that's probably the one I'm most likely to go into, Human Anatomy, and Falcon Age coming to PC. And with that, it's back to our favorite bongo.
So the first topic this week is about the original Oculus Rift, actually, because as we know, a few months ago, Oculus released the brand new Oculus Rift S, which completely replaced the original Oculus Rift in the lineup. And Oculus said they're not going to be making the original Rift anymore. So pretty much when the stock is gone, it's gone. Now, that's fine. But obviously, as we know, with the Rift S, the biggest issue with this headset, I think it is still a good headset in my opinion, but there is an issue with it. And that is that it's got a fixed IPD. So for most people, I would say it'll be fine. I think all of us, use it and we don't have any issues. I'm on the lower end of the IPD spectrum. I've got like a 60 millimeter IPD. But there are people out there, and I think it is worse if you've got a higher IPD value. It tends to affect you more that it's going to be out of sync and things aren't going to feel quite right.
That makes perfect sense, because if it's wider, then you need to look more outwards, which is more difficult to do, of course.
Right, exactly. And even the Oculus founder, Palmer Luckey, stated this in a blog post, you know, that the fixed IPD with the Rift S just doesn't work for him. Like, he can't use that headset, which is a shame. So if you have a high or low IPD range, then you're not probably going to be interested in the Rift S. You're probably going to be either keeping hold of your original CV1 or looking for other options. So if you're in this position and you've retained your original Rift, and you're going to hold on to it until something better comes along, maybe you're waiting for the Cosmos, for example. The problem is that because these headsets are getting older now, every now and again you're going to have to replace something. Like, I know a lot of people had issues with the audio. There are fixes out there for that, like bridging. I think it's the ground, you know, on the back of the headset that kind of works. But if you want,
Lucky still doing that as well? I don't think he's doing repairs anymore.
I checked because the audio on my headset's gone. You know how I took the headphones off and used it that way for 3 years, and then I set it up downstairs and I noticed that the audio was on, and I asked the same question. I was like, is Palmer still doing this? And as of a month ago, he was.
Okay.
Yeah, apparently, you know, you had to sign up for it, and you had to have an Oculus support ticket as well back then. So I don't know how much they're going to entertain that now, but the issue is that people that, you know, want to buy replacement cables, want to buy replacement headphones for the original Oculus Rift, they're no longer making them, and they're now getting to the point where they're running out of stock of those as well. So you can no longer buy the replacement cables, you can no longer buy the replacement earphones. You can still buy the sensors and you can still buy replacement controllers, but the stocks are going to be super limited. And really, your only option, especially if you've bought into the Oculus ecosystem, is, you know, to buy a Rift S or buy another headset and use Revive, which we know can be a bit hit and miss sometimes.
Or find a friendly scalper named Zim who has an unboxed, a totally boxed, untouched CV1 sitting right here.
Completely untouched.
I haven't even opened the box.
Wow.
Yeah, I bought it just as the European shortages were happening, and I was like, I'm getting one, because like the stock market, you buy early, price goes up, and then I feed it to somebody.
Are you sure it's in there though?
Yeah, it's the same way.
Sounds like a rock with like someone sends his regards.
Yeah, exactly.
But like the real question is, like, do you think their service was long enough, you know, for people that bought into the Rift CV1, or is this like, you know, they really want to kind of force people into their new stuff, or was it, you know, the CV1 had its time and it's...
Yeah, I think the CV1 had its time. Like, they did support it for a long, long time. Like, you know, you got to think it's what, 3-4 years old now, even.
I totally disagree though, because you could have bought a new CV1 less than a year ago.
It's 2.5 years ago that it came out, right?
Yeah, so if you bought one recently, then yeah, I get it. That's a crappy deal. But if you're an original buyer like me, then, you know, I can't expect Oculus to be serving that headset now, and I would be looking elsewhere anyway. If it wasn't for the Rift S, I'd probably bought something else like the Index, like I did.
Yeah.
But it's just a shame that, you know, it's coming to its end of its life now. So I just kind of wanted to highlight that, and that if you're in the market for spare parts, like really the secondhand market is probably your best bet. You know, if your cats chew through your cable like so many cats have, I've seen on Reddit over the years, then, you know, eBay is going to be your best bet for something like that.
And because original CV1s will keep trickling on eBay and stuff secondhand for not too much money for the foreseeable couple of years.
Yeah, exactly. But some people were saying, like, will there be a third party that makes replacement cables? But I just don't think the market is big enough for a third party to think that's worth their time or money. So I wouldn't bank on that. Secondhand market's definitely going to be your best bet. And like Zim said, there's going to be plenty of them out there if you still need them. But it's just coming to that moment now that the Rift is really sort of dead almost now, in terms of, like, if you want to keep it going and it's broken. Obviously, it's still going now. You'll be fine for a while to come. But it's just a shame, really, to see that it's sort of the end of its cycle.
Yeah, absolutely. I still think it's premature. I think they're following Apple's model, which is an aggressive product push, very short tail on the older equipment, which, you know, forces you to move on to the new stuff. Now, that said, if you ask me, and I've had this conversation over the last couple of weeks, I am not comfortable moving back into CV1 after having used Rift S. But if you're in that category of can't use the Rift S or had to send one back and you were really frustrated and now you're still stuck with CV1, but you don't want to go into a different ecosystem, then you don't have many options for now. That said, I think this is a positive sign because the shortage in advance of the announcement. Remember the shortage of the announcement prior to the Quest and the Rift S launching? That happened. That was like a precursor indicating that there was news to come. And we're only a month away from Oculus Connect 6, so maybe there's going to be something for those people.
Well, I think one day we will get another Rift, like a Rift 2, like the official second generation Rift, because obviously the Rift S is like a 1.5 stopgap headset, not even really made by Oculus, it's made by Lenovo. But I think it's going to be a while yet. I think maybe we might see some really early tech demo stuff.
I think they're going to tease it, is what I think is going to. I'm not saying they're going to launch it. I think that because they usually have at least a year cushioning before.
Exactly.
And I think it's probably won't even be out for OC7, to be honest. It'll probably be like a Christmas 2020 job trying to fight off, whatever Apple's going to launch in 2020. So
yeah, exactly.
But that's also mainly because standalone is doing so well.
Yeah, but I would also suggest that whatever comes next from Oculus will have a manual IPD adjustment. It won't be fixed. I really do think the Rift S, they dropped the ball on that a little bit.
You think that?
I think it's a solid headset, but I do think having
I probably agree with you that the technology is an improvement, but like if we look at the direction that Oculus has been heading is in making the setup easier. And if you have a manual adjustment that you need to do, I think that will complicate the setup. And I don't think that they want to do that. I think that actually what they want to do is they want to eventually get some form of like an eye tracker in there and then digitally adjust the IPD like that.
That would totally make sense.
They'll go for...
They could have done a better job at even finding that in the first place, or like reminding people more of what IPD is, explaining what IPD even is all about, because some people have never heard of this word before. So, educating people in that sense is the first step.
It's the ice cream police department, right?
Even before buying it, because if you look at the store, you would probably not know what you're buying into, and you have to find out when you finally have it if your eyes even fit into this headset.
Yeah.
Well, that's the problem. Most people who find out it's not for them, they'll have to return it.
Yeah.
And they sometimes don't even know why that's the case.
I don't fit in the range that they provide. I don't fit in the range of the HTC Vive, and I don't fit in the range of the Oculus. So I'm below all of them.
Yeah, but
Seriously? Wow.
I'm just a weird head, Rowdy.
You're a family of like hammerhead sharks or something.
Yeah. No, the opposite. I'm like the
rodent family. Rodent family, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
He's got the IPD of a squirrel.
We're all unibros.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just a shame, that these things are happening. If people still own an original CV1, they're running out of time. But it was inevitable that this was going to happen eventually. But it is only 3 months away.
Time to open a museum now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I do think, like I said, the second generation one will hopefully have a manual IPD adjustment, or like Rowdy suggested, something automatic with eye tracking. That'd be really cool as well.
Yeah.
You never know. We might have some fresh news from Oculus Connect in a matter of 3 weeks now. So fingers crossed for that.
I'm looking forward to the rooms idea that Nathie mentioned earlier, though, because I still remember about 3 years ago now when Palmer said something about having a Christmas party in VR, and having everyone over that way. That still hasn't become, a thing, and it's surprising we're so far along.
Quick update, in the chat they are constantly hunting down for likes because they want Mike to sing. So Mike, know that if we do hit this, you have to do an attempt on singing something you don't really know how it even sounds.
Sure. Right? I'll put my mind, body and soul on the line for the show.
Love it. Love it.
But you want to know how many we still need to,
Yeah, sure, tell me.
So we need 29 likes.
Okay, well, be quick because you're running out of time, is all I'm going to say. So let's talk about our final topic this week. And this is kind of a bit of a change of the mood. I know that it's a sort of lighthearted show. We have a lot of fun on this show, but this is something that's pretty disappointing and something that I saw this week that was a bit like, this really sucks. This is really bad. And I thought it was important that we talk about this on the show because you know, like we're four generic white dudes talk about VR every week. Despite that, though, we do promote diversity and, more importantly, safe working space, free of harassment within the gaming industry, not just VR, but the gaming industry as a whole. And I think it is important that we raise this subject because, you know, not many people are talking about this in the VR space right now. And I would say that it's pretty significant news. But basically, this all came about. This whole story started. If you're not familiar with this, I'll go through it all from the beginning. But this story all started this week when a programmer from the gaming industry named Caitlin Burnell, she made a comment on Twitter about the gaming industry as a whole, and just saying that, you know, why do people serve alcohol at gaming events? Because during these gaming events that she's attended as a programmer, as part of the industry, she's been like inappropriately touched by drunk attendees, basically. And it kind of makes her wary of attending such events in the future.
Absolutely.
And from that point of view, you can be like, yeah, I can completely understand why you'd want to avoid these events if that's your experience in the past. And, you know, something like that's awful, and I wouldn't want anyone to experience something like that. And basically, that tweet then spurned others from the industry sharing their stories on Twitter. And this happened to include Autumn Taylor, who, if you don't know, she's the marketing director at Alchemy Labs. Alchemy Labs are a great studio. They've made Vacation and Job Simulator, Rick and Morty Virtual Reality, make some amazing games. Well-respected developer in the VR scene. And I'll basically just read out the thread. This is what she said, because this story really sort of took me by surprise. So she said in response to this, my experience in the games industry with this actually led to me changing my major in college. VR roped me back in, but this was still a constant reality. Being hit on at developer meetups, harassed and belittled for being a young woman, and touched inappropriately. I remember attending GDC while I was still in college, and the frustration at having to pass interactions to determine if someone was genuinely excited about VR and games or if they just wanted to hit on me. It's so dehumanizing to be on the other end of that. I remember at the same GDC attending a VR party and meeting a founder exec of a well-known VR hardware company who offered to show me some unreleased demos. I was so excited, but also so naive. A friend had shown me their demo in their hotel, so I thought that was normal. And to be fair, as a bit of a side thing, like demos behind the scenes in hotel rooms at events like this is completely normal. Like, if you think that's strange, it is actually normal practice.
It's commonplace, yeah.
Yeah. So she goes on to say that I was new, I was trusting them, they're an important person that I admired, and I was so naive. They showed me VR demos, but put their hands up my skirt while they did so. While she was in VR, like whilst I was in VR. So she's in VR, completely blind, and this guy who is a high-level exec in a well-known VR company is putting his hand up her skirt. Completely off limits, completely outrageous. The shock and fear of that happening while I was essentially blindfolded. I remember how afraid I was and how I didn't know how to leave their apartment. I discreetly sent my location to my roommate who was in Austin. I was afraid and wanted to leave. It became clear I wanted to leave. I remember feeling like an idiot for trusting this person, and I remember wondering if I'd somehow agreed to what happened, somehow like something that I'd done to come off. Even so, touching someone while they're in VR, that's bullshit. This man was like 30 and I was still in college. How dare he? This incident was my first truly awful experience since coming back to games and VR, and I swore I never would because of the past experience with an abuser. I always feel anxious going to events for this VR hardware company because I'm afraid he'll remember me. Is it worse if he doesn't? I don't know, but if I'm honest, while he was my first bad experience, since deciding to do VR games, he wasn't the last or even the biggest, not by a long shot. I don't know if I feel strong enough to tell the story yet. I'm not sure. I'm not even strong enough to name this man. So that's kind of how it ended. And then she came back and said, in fact, this experience sticks with me years later. That means something. This person is in a position of power when VR was new and made me feel small. I shouldn't discredit my experience. Michael Antonov was a creep to me at an Oculus event, and men don't get to keep doing this. So she's gone through this awful ordeal, and now she's like recounting the event later on. And Michael Antonov, if you don't know who he is, a couple of episodes ago, we talked about the founders of Oculus, where they are now in the space. Michael Antonov, he was a founder of Oculus, and he's still actually the only founder left that works for Facebook. He's not actually working on VR right now. Apparently, he's working as a software architect for Facebook's AI infrastructure team. But this was just so awful, and I can't even begin to imagine how that would make you feel being put in a position like that, because you're putting your trust in someone's hands, basically, and they've abused that trust and taken advantage of the situation. And I think Autumn, for bringing this up and highlighting it, I think what she's done is incredibly brave, because especially after the fact, like such a long time after the fact, and the fact that she's still very much involved in this industry. But I think she did completely the right thing by sharing this story, because it now could prevent something like this happening again. So that's this kind of story. It's kind of a bit of a downer at the end of the show, so apologies for that. But I think it's worth talking about. But now it's going to be interesting to see what happens next, because you don't make an accusation like that, and expect nothing to happen. It was always going to be clear that some fallout was going to happen as a result of this, and rightly so, completely rightly so. So Andrew Bosworth, who is the VP of AR and VR at Facebook, he responded to the whole thing with a tweet. And he said, "These stories are sickening. I'm sorry if it happened then and that you have to face the trauma again now. I took over our AR and VR and Oculus team in 2018, and I do not accept this behavior. I've asked to understand how the situations were handled that have been brought up. For confidentiality, I can't share details, but harassment isn't tolerated or ignored. We investigate every claim every time. Our policy and investigations process is public, so people can hold us at a high bar on any kind of harassment. I care deeply about building a safe and inclusive team, and your voices matter. You can hold me accountable if that's not what you experience with Oculus or AR or VR at Facebook today."
The problem that I have a little bit with these kind of responses is that these are obviously done in order to limit the damage. The answer that I'm getting from this is like, oh yeah, this is sickening and we agree and this and that. But what are the actions that are being exactly taken against this person who has been accused of something? They cannot prove this because she was probably alone with him in a hotel room. I don't know if there were any other people who can confirm the story or disconfirm it. So proving this will be incredibly hard to do.
Yeah. But I think the best thing that can come out of it is preventative. If this has been highlighted now, and I'm sure something will happen behind the scenes with Michael Antonov.
But what has Michael Antonov's response been to this?
Well, I don't think he has responded to this at all, and I would imagine that's probably wise. That it's probably handled by Facebook, and they come later with a statement after the investigation.
That's again limiting the damage to the company. I want to hear from this person. What is his take on this? What does he have? Does he have an apology? Yeah. What is his side of his story? Is there something that if something like this becomes public, it is damaging to the company. Mm-hmm. Mm. The way that the company responds to this is in order to limit the damage, to make sure that this is a one-time experience and this is not in line with the values of our company, this and that. That is what they do, and they do that perfectly, and they should do that. But I want to know, what are the actions that they're taking in order to prevent this to happen, and what are the actions they're taking against Michael Antonov?
Yeah, well, hopefully, because like they said, that this is like a transparent investigation, hopefully we'll find out an outcome later, and we can obviously let you know what the score is with that. Mm. But it's kind of weird because, I thought about this a lot, and it's horrible when you read these stories because certainly from my perspective, I see the VR industry, particularly because it's such a niche, like it's all encompassing. Like everyone's welcome in this niche. But as a man attending events like this, like a happily married man, I'm not interested in meeting people like on that sort of level at these events. I guess I just take it for granted that something like this is unlikely going to ever happen to me as a man. But as a woman, certainly from hearing these stories, it is kind of horrible. It's
like when I'm at events, like I go into like 6-7 hotel rooms a day. I feel like if you're a female, it's like a Russian roulette, and you just gotta hope for the best.
Yeah, that's horrible. But that's horrible.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's funny, Mike, because you said, it's kind of a downer to the end of the episode. That's not the way view these things when they come to light. You know, I see them more as like as a celebration of the courage that someone like this can come stand forward and actually talk, because that takes some serious cojones to do that. That's very difficult, because any future employer is going to say, "Oh, are you going to rat us out? Are you going to?" It has. You're accepting damage when you do that and you make that acquisition, which is actually kind of like a, you know, I'm going to take a sword through the belly just to get you because you're standing behind me, you know, stabbing me in the back. It's not an easy thing to do in any way, shape, or form. So, you know, Rowdy's point makes it difficult. What's the right thing to do if you're in this situation? I suppose it's kick it off to the authorities as soon as you can. Actually make it legitimate, which again takes serious effort, and again may have collateral damage for you, which is not something anyone wants to accept. And someone's put this on you, and that sucks. Talk to people about it. Don't keep it to yourself, I think, is the best thing that I can say. I mean, I'll be honest. I mean, the last Oculus Connect we were at, I was in a room situation like that, and I was felt uncomfortable for the first time ever. And it was another guy. Went back up to his hotel room. I've not talked to him about it. I won't name anybody. This isn't a serious thing, and it wasn't a sexual thing, but it was a dark room. I went into the headset to check this thing out, and he was just being very awkward about the whole thing. And it was like 2 or 3 days later, I found a bunch of pictures he'd taken that he'd posted online of me, and he'd never asked permission or anything. And it was a bit dodgy. And I was like, you know, it's funny, it made me apprehensive in that situation. But it can totally happen to dudes too. I mean, I know plenty of cases where, you know, a guy was on his own and ends up getting raped by another guy or a woman who's a bit forward that way. I mean, yes, it is definitely tilted to the disservice of women. I would agree, but it's not something that, you know, it's not something that you don't have to look out for. You got to still be aware of your environment. And the thing that I've seen, which was done very well, I liked what the Falcon Age devs did when I did their demo, was they kept the hotel room door open. And that's, you know, I think that's a really nice thing to do if you can offer it. It kind of allows it to feel that bit safer, you know.
Yeah.
The thing is, and I see that Nim Sony also commented in chat, is that apologies can't happen up until it is proved. Otherwise, it will be used as an admittance. And I think that is indeed the reason why there is no apologies or why there is nothing coming forward from Michael Antonov. Because if he apologizes, that is at the same time saying, oh yeah, everything that happened is true. And of course, that would damage his reputation. But what I don't get is like, what goes on in people who, I'm not going to say him specifically, but people who do this kind of stuff, what goes on in their mind to think, they're all adults, they're all mature, they're all very intelligent individuals. What goes on in their mind to think that, it's okay to do this? If you want to hit on the person, if you would like to do that, just ask her out and ask for her opinion. It's not that difficult. Go up to her and say, hey, would you like to go for a drink? You make that statement clear. You don't go up with your hand. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little bit irate here, probably.
Yeah, I know.
Because it pisses me off, this kind of stuff.
Yeah, it does.
I don't want to be seen. I'm a white dude. I don't want to be seen as that, you know? Like, I don't want him to be the stereotype for like all of the other white dudes out there. There's a lot of white dudes who are perfectly noble and who wouldn't even think about doing something like that. And I find it, I'm getting fucking angry because of that kind of stuff.
But the thing is, and I see this in Rowdy before, and we've talked about this kind of thing before. I mean, I really do adamantly believe this isn't just that dude, that girl, that company. I mean, this is us too, right? We're eyes, we're mouths, and you know, I can see it in Rowdy. If he saw this, that guy'd be on the floor, right? If he saw something like this. Now, again, the other side of it is this happened a long time ago. You're not just going to go floor somebody over something someone says on, you know, on Twitter. You can't do that. But if you're there in the situation, you know, guys, stand up. Get involved, stay vocal, and
I've done it before.
I know you have. I absolutely know you have. It's the right thing to do.
Like, I've never witnessed something like this at an event before, and certainly if I did, then yeah, you're right. I would totally be, you know, strong enough in my will to put a stop to it. But it's just horrible, and I just really hope that as a result of this, you know, lessons are learned. From this, hopefully the whole gaming industry, because like you said, it's not just something to do with VR. This happens across the gaming industry as a whole, and hopefully that, you know, the gaming industry can learn from this and just do better at protecting people that are coming to their events in the future, for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is the story. Like if we get more information about this, obviously we'll keep you updated with this situation with Michael Antonov. But yeah, shout out to Autumn again for coming forward with the story and telling it how it was. And
yeah, I think it was like awesome to see so many people backing her up.
Yeah,
social media, if true or not, but it's just, it's nice to see even Alchemy Labs. Like she works for Alchemy Labs, and in the end, by her saying all of this, you also take Alchemy Labs on this adventure. But they are all backing her. Even the co-founder, I think Alex, he also said like we don't tolerate this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see everyone also embracing her and trying to protect her in a way too. Because if you announce stuff like this, it's like there's so much trash going on the internet. People saying like, it's not that bad, or it's been like so many years ago, so why care? Things like that. Yeah, this is like a topic
that is all in the public eye. But what is happening behind closed doors? Because that's the thing that bothers me the most. Like, because they all say like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna name any names. I don't know who, but everyone will always say, oh yeah, we disagree with this and we disagree with that. But at the same time, on that same thread I was reading, there are other game developers that called out in that as well, that have been doing this for years and years and years, been accused of this by maybe, I think I read of one who got accused by maybe 15 or 20 women, but he's such a big name in the industry that he still goes from company to company because they don't care about all the stuff that happened to him.
Yes.
So in the public eye, all those companies always say, oh, we tolerate, we need everyone to like get along, and we don't tolerate this kind of stuff. But behind closed doors, when it comes to funding, when it comes to hiring people, they want the people to bring in the money.
But so the one thing I would say, being a corporate guy myself, I mean, this is why I said the thing earlier. The sooner you can report to authorities via the appropriate channels, the person will not pass human resources screening. And large companies like Facebook, it's mandatory they do that. But I agree with you, Rowdy, we've seen it in this industry, unfortunately, people going and still getting a job from place to place to place. And you see them in the industry, you see them at events, and you just have to shake your head at it. There's not a lot. I mean, I certainly don't think someone should go take physical action themselves, and I still think that the appropriate channels are there for a reason. Yeah. But that said, things change if you're there witnessing something unfolding live. I would agree. Yeah.
But I think it's such an abuse of trust, you are putting your trust into someone, you're completely blindfolded from the real world. And like when Rowdy said, like, what kind of person would do this? Like, it's just someone that is just abusing their power, essentially. It's a power trip, and it's completely wrong. And
it's way, way down the spectrum, Mike, but I think it's worth mentioning because the VR Umbrella guys, they put out a newsletter, I think for Christmas last year or something. They said one of the top things to do when you're giving a demo, right, is make the person feel safe. Yes. And I would just like to say this to people who, I mean, we're lads who like a laugh. We like, the entertainment aspect of VR, having a laugh, playing around with each other. You guys know that. But the thing I have to say is, someone's new in VR, like you jump them physically or something. I mean, if they're not expecting that, that's a horrible experience, actually. And you don't want them not to associate it with the stuff. You don't want it to associate it with you. Just think twice, put yourself in their shoes, and just think about your actions before you get it on, and before you do that. And then the other thing is this point that she made about the alcohol at events. I actually think policy-wise, that's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea if they decide to start not doing alcohol at events, because some guys get a bit rowdy. Sorry.
Drink. Yeah. No, absolutely. But yeah, I just thought we'd wrap up the show with that story. I think it was an important story to talk about. Not many people were talking about it in the VR space, so I thought it was worth highlighting. Go on, Rowdy.
Rowdy's got a finger.
I'm just letting you know that we're not wrapping up the show with this story.
Okay.
Oh no, he got it.
We hit 100 likes.
Oh my God, I thought I was safe and clear. Okay,
Holy cow. This is brilliant. Like right after a heavy, this is the finisher. This is like bring us back.
Very interesting ending, yeah.
This is gonna lighten the mood.
You can blow off some steam here, Mike. So wait, what was the song name again? What are you going to be performing for us?
Reason for Living by Morgan Page.
Gentlemen, you will be rating out of 10. You'll be rating out of 10 at the end.
I can't even remember. I can't even remember how the song goes.
You should listen to it for a second.
I'm gonna get it up. So
okay.
Reason for Living.
Lads, ready a piece of paper. We're gonna score him. All right. So ready a piece of.
We need to give him a score.
For those who are listening,
Yeah, we should.
Okay,
who were
here we go.
listening
What
to
is
the
it,
audio,
like 1 out of 10 or?
yeah, out of 10. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Just
the
make
chat
sure it's
should
good
also
enough.
join.
Okay, I'm listening.
Just make sure that it's good enough so that we don't lose any likes, Mike. I mean,
Okay,
that's
so
quite
it-
important.
So in the chat, you should also rate from 1 to 10. Let's just use. Do they have like emojis of stars? I think so. So just use stars
Oh my
as
God,
like
stars.
the
It's a lot
rating
of work.
system. Yeah, like the old school YouTube system also had stars, right? We're gonna go back in time.
Well, then let them do it out of 5 instead of 10.
Yeah,
If
fine,
you
that's
got to
better.
make them, because otherwise, what's going to happen is Nightbot will jump in and stop
Oh
people.
yeah.
So
Yeah, that's
5
True.
out of 5
Escalate.
then. Out of 5.
Yeah.
And you
See Mike preparing. He didn't expect this to happen.
Oh,
at
I-
all.
This is
Okay,
this
you
is
ready for this?
the real test of a host. You good, Mike?
Here we go.
Okay. Cause I don't even see more these days. No such thing as staying up too late. Nobody's at home waiting for me. Staying up for a feeling, it's the reason for living. Tell myself I'm doing okay. That's enough.
Good on you, Mike.
Oh my god,
brilliant,
that was
brilliant,
hideous. I suck at karaoke. So, let's take some questions then. I'll round up the show.
Wait. Scores out of 5, everybody. Scores out of 5. What do we got? We got a 5 stars from Simply Chris, 3 from Sander. You get a 3 out of 5 from Zim.
I'll take a 3.
Rowdy? 4 out of 5 from Rowdy.
4, Mike.
I think I deserve a 3.
Rusty gives a 5.
Like, I would have given you a 5 if you also did a little dance with it, but it's gonna be a 4 for now. But you can
Try it
always
again.
practice, right?
I practice. I learn the lyrics.
week.
VR
Next
Spry
week.
Guy gives you a 1.
That's what you get when you listen to the FReality podcast, a real mixed bag. So just a reminder, it is a weekly VR, AR, and MR talk show, live streamed every Saturday on YouTube, Facebook, and on Twitch. You can also check out the show live in big screen and share the experience with other VR enthusiasts. It's a really cool way to watch the show. Loads of people are really enjoying that, so it's great to hear it. The show goes live at 7 p.m. in Europe, 6 p.m. in the UK, and 12 midday in Central US. Or check out the audio version, which is available on iTunes, SoundCloud, Anchor, and on Spotify.
Usually I would mention you liking this stream, but never mind, everyone already did.
Thank you for that, by the way.
I also want to say that I'm very happy we were all together again because it felt like ages. Every time there was something going on where,
yeah, exactly.
so I don't know. I like we become rock stars, so we are all around the world. So I totally understand, but it's
like,
good to be back.
It's like what they say in what is it, the Boys TV show, is that if what about the Spice Girls? You know, each one of them individually they suck, but yeah, but they're the bloody Spice Girls to get.
You almost got the accent there as well. I was going to say, well, we're together again for Oculus Connect, so that'll be really awesome.
Yes, we're going to do the show live from the show floor again. So enjoy that. Yeah. So if you've got a question, now's the time before we sort of round up and say goodbye.
Yeah. Someone says, does the Oculus version of Dirt Rally look differently than the Steam version? Don't think so. Not the original game anyway. I couldn't compare the Dirt Rally 2 yet across both platforms, but no, it's the same.
Well, someone rated you, what is it, like 5 ducks? I don't know what that means, but that's impressive.
Nimzo says, so are you guys the new Spice Girls?
Yeah.
New fragrance coming out next month. We're gonna
Ginger Spice.
Can I be Scary Spice?
Yeah, sure.
I'll be the hot one.
Sporty Spice?
Rowdy's Sporty Spice,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Sporty Spice?
Yeah, obviously Nathie's Jerry Halliwell. Because no, that's me. Which one? No, Nathie's the baby, of course.
Yeah, Baby Spice.
Great.
Oh,
Brilliant.
is the way to get Dirt Rally completely free? Yes.
Well, you pay with your email in the end.
Yeah, you sign up to a newsletter, but the newsletter's worth signing up for because Humble Bundle do some amazing deals on games. So
They're good
Just
anyway. You can always unsubscribe a month later or something if you really don't like them. But yeah, they've been fantastic for the longest time. And also, is the free thing only for regular PC or is it just the VR?
regular PC, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just a regular Steam code that you get.
Yep,
That's what I got.
Yep. There you go.
Sneaky Snooks is asking any worthwhile Kickstarters at this very moment.
I would say no.
I did see an LED backpack. That's kind of nice.
Yeah, that
Or
is
you
cool.
can put your own, logo on the back of your backpack, or some like Pac-Man eating up some ghosts or whatever.
One thing I'll mention, just for creators' sake, you know those Frunk LED marquees that you can get in for the Vive Index. Buddy of mine, VR Bug, he got one, installed it, but because of the refresh rate, you only see a stream, kind of a vertical line of the text parse along the display. It's a thing with the camera. So if you're a creator and you're thinking to get one of those, might not look good as good on video as you're expecting. I remember having that with the original DK2 because I got it and then I'm like, what are these purple dots? And it was the infrared LEDs showing up on my Logitech camera at the time. But mind that, because a lot of people were getting excited to maybe pick one up. You might want to watch out for that and find one that doesn't have that feature.
Good point.
Welsh says Mike has the perfect voice for Eurovision. Hey, that's nice because it's in the Netherlands. It's not that far away, so you could just come here and do your thing.
Yeah.
For the UK, because when was the last time the UK won the Eurovision?
A long time ago.
Yeah, so you're the one. You're the chosen one.
Yeah.
To actually make it happen, Mike.
I could be the lucky egg.
Superstar. Yeah,
exactly.
The lucky egg. Exactly.
Well, thank you everyone for tuning in this week. This has been a fantastic episode. I didn't know we were going to get the Mike serenade at the end, but it was a nice additional, a little bit from Ginger. Thanks,
exactly.
Ginger Spice, Mike.
So we'll be back, of course, next week. So have a great week in VR. Until then, take care and bye-bye for now. See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.